Oh, hey. You should probably get some water. Oh my god, did you hear that crack? Hey everyone, my name is Erica Mance and welcome. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing well. I know I was supposed to be uploading every day for the next month, but I'm gonna be quite frank. I wasn't feeling good yesterday. Yeah, mentally, I wasn't really feeling good. I was pushing myself to upload, but then I ultimately decided not to because I just don't want to post anything that doesn't have my heart in it. All right, even though these videos are like simple, it's just me talking to the camera like YouTube used to be, right? But it still takes some effort. You still have to want to do it, and I was not gonna get that yesterday, and I didn't want to, put out something that you guys wouldn't like. Okay, I have 164 subbies now, so I'm doing something right, and I want to make sure I keep that energy going. All right, with that being said, if you haven't subscribed, we do all types of different content. If you are subscribed, thank you so much. Thanks for being patient. And since I missed yesterday, for whatever day I missed, because I'm a human being and life be lifing, I may miss some days. I'll extend into November. So you'll get a video November 1st. There you go. I missed my first day. With all of that being said, let's get started on today's video. I mean, we are started, but we're jumping into it now. I'm feeling much better today, especially after finishing my book. I feel like finishing books is getting harder as I get older. I'm just struggling to get through them for some reason. I really don't know why. I have to seriously start working on my attention span and start carving out more book reading time. Like, hey Erica, you want to go to the club? No, I'm reading. I told myself I was going to read at least 2 chapters. Especially after reading this book, I feel that I got to start disciplining myself a little bit more. This is actually the second time I have read this book. I gotta find better placement for everything. I'm trying to be more centered, but whatever. Anyway, this is what I was going to say was, this is the second time I've read this book and it still hits. And before I even tell you the book, okay, someone took my first copy of this and I do not know who. And this is a shout out, all right? This is a warning, okay? No one better take my books anymore. I've gotten so many books taken from me, basically robbed, that I have never gotten back. And it's just so annoying. Is it like, I don't have a big, can you see my, no, this is my records. Oh, you guys can't see my books. But I have like a very limited amount of physical books because I go to the local library, okay? I don't really buy many books. For the people who took my books over the years, I hate you, okay? We don't like book thieves on this channel, okay? And if you're a book thief, you better return the book to the person that you took it from because it's not cool. But today's book review is The Tao of Wu by the RZA. If you know me, you know I'm a huge Wu-Tang fan. You already know. Oof, this album is fire. I'm a huge fan of Wu-Tang Clan. Like, who isn't? I don't know one person that does not like the Wu-Tang Clan. And if you don't know, Wu-Tang was founded by the RZA, and that's the author of this book. Oh my, I hope my bone cracking isn't being picked up on the mic because that's gonna be embarrassing. The RZA wrote this book, New York Times bestseller. It's kind of like a memoir, but there's a lot of different themes going on. It's only 208 pages and it's simply written but very powerful messaging. So it's a really nice, easy read, especially if you like hip-hop culture and like spirituality and memoirs. This would be a great book for you. I certainly recommend it. This is my second time reading it, and it's also my second time purchasing it. I'll put the link down below for Amazon. Yeah, you get a bit of a deep dive of, him just growing up in the forgotten borough of Staten Island, which I have yet to visit. I'm trying to go to Staten Island just to be there. I've never gone to Staten Island, but very rough, beginning. Obviously, Staten Island during his time, 1980s, 1990s, was not a great place to be. And it's just that journey and everything he learned from then and to how, he became who he is today, which everyone knows who the RZA is. not only obviously is a part of the Wu-Tang, but he has books out, does movies, he's in movies, he has his fingers in a bunch of, different projects. Certainly, one of the most notable people we know in the hip-hop community, at least. A lot of kind of bizarre lessons that he learned through, not even bizarre, I mean, just a lot of intense, crazy situations that he lived through, and a lot of lessons he learned along the way. And although many people wouldn't expect this, I mean, I guess some of Wu-Tang's kind of hip-hop album themes could be, I know a lot of it is, I feel it, oh my god, what the fuck, like Kung Fu. Like, a lot of people will relate Wu-Tang to Kung Fu and whatnot, or just hip-hop, chess, stuff like that. They also represent a lot of spirituality in the album in some songs. But yeah, I feel like a lot of outsiders wouldn't expect the RZA to be very spiritual or very religious, but he very much is. As you may know, I'm a little bit uncomfortable with that type of stuff. However, I'm definitely on this journey of spirituality and not a specific religion, even though he kind of has his own specific way or religion that he looks at. There is a lot of spirituality in this book, but it's not down my throat. It's actually quite comforting, and I wrote down a lot of what he was talking about and a lot of the references he made. But the spirituality part is very good for me to be reading this type of stuff, especially during a time in my life where I do feel like I need a little bit more guidance and more belief and faith, and we'll go back to faith. But also, just, I'm not saying that I grew up like the RZA, but I resonate with a lot of how he grew up, I guess. Just living through really bad situations and doing bad things because of said bad situations, but not being a bad person, if that makes sense. Not believing that this is all you are. Like, I grew up doing stupid things. Some things were bad things, but I knew I always wanted more for myself. Like, I knew this wasn't me. Like, this is my environment, but this is not me, type of thing. Which he kind of reflects on that heavily. How even though he was in, the projects, even though he was doing all of these bad things, drinking, drugs, whatever, he was always very disciplined, always working on his mathematics, always doing like all the spiritual things, and working on his beats and his skill. He was vegetarian at a very young age. Like, he does not eat pork he was just very disciplined at such a young age. But, still doing stupid things like getting drunk, getting 40s, hooking up with girls, doing this, doing that. Those bad things, those vices, I guess I should say. He, in a sense, I resonate with that. Like, even though I'm, getting drunk, being stupid, this is not me or whatever. I don't know if I'm explaining this really well. It's just interesting to know, like, because obviously he's gonna go into, Wu-Tang and all the members, and how, they were doing all these bad things, but, hustling for 5 years straight to get to the name that they have right now and all their separate careers and whatever. They did, really buckle down and just work on the music, and like would watch movies together and play chess and do all of these like really actually nice, genuine things. But then also, obviously those vices, like, again, they were disciplined, but like doing dumb things, which I do quite often, or at least I did when I was growing up. So I do resonate in that sense. I was not a bad person, but I was hanging out with bad people doing bad things, even though it's not something that I necessarily believed in doing or wanted to do, for that matter. There's like a lot of that. And then the thing is, a big theme of that is just like, okay, you're in this bad environment. Now you have two choices. You could either stay in that environment or you can get out. And so there's a lot of resilience from this guy. And I do feel, again, I resonate with that resilience in life, when you're just like, no, I'm gonna keep moving forward. And then, of course, discipline and just, being on that grind. These are a lot of things that he talks about, all of these situations, which I really did like. And I did I'm not gonna go on a deep dive, but I did underline some things. I mean, again, this is the Tao of Wu. It's really simple, easy book to read. I'll probably read it again at some point. I do just want to read some passages as well before moving forward and talking about more stuff. And again, I'm at a point in my life where I feel like I'm struggling with a lot of things, so a lot of this stuff kind of really resonates with me. For example, this is kind of when they just started like really getting money in and whatever. And he's like, when I first bought a house in New Jersey, I got it as a Wu house, but the rest of the members couldn't stand being there. They wanted to be in the city, but for me, this remote house, the island, was the best place to be. It's a place to break off the antennas on top of buildings, to break away from those frequencies, to break away from everybody's hustle and negativity, a place to reconnect with your own strength. Now, I don't have that spot right now, and I think a lot of people may not have that spot right now, so it's very, I don't know, I guess disheartening to do things sometimes because we don't have, not all of us have spaces to like reconnect with yourself. So if you do have that opportunity, take advantage of that. If you don't, find a spot. Like I also have to take this advice, and basically he just goes on to say, I advise everyone to find an island in this life. And it's just very important, again, because I think I said this in my other video about like being alone and versus being lonely, and how I think as a society in general, from what I'm experiencing and what I see, is that we do not give ourselves the time of day to connect with ourselves, because there's just really we're just constantly stimulated and distracted that we can never just like sit in a room and just be. And I think even in a movie, going off topic here, I think it was like The Sound of Metal or something, where one of the guy, like the drummer who had lost his hearing, had to just sit in a room and do nothing, and that he struggled doing that. And I feel like that's something that I would struggle doing too. So I guess whatever, just kind of bring another reference here about just creating a space for yourself and just giving yourself time to regurgitate. Is that the right word that I'm looking for? That's on page 17. Let's go to 35. So basically, it's a time in the RZA's life where he got off this thing called like the lessons. But I just don't want to go into that. Whatever. I feel like I should go down into that. The lessons, it's just something that they study, that people study, that has like history and all this stuff. Whatever. Anyway, he stopped believing in the lessons because of this situation, and he was mad about it. So he stopped being in this like discipline way. Like he started eating meat again, he started eating pork again, all of this stuff. And one day he's having food, and his aunt's boyfriend is like on heroin, even though he's like far gone and whatever. He gets offered food, which basically is hot dogs. So she goes, do you want hot dogs, to this guy who's on heroin or whatever. And he said there better not be any pork in it. And at that point, I guess something kind of like went into the RZA's mind where he's like, I believe in these lessons again. Like no matter how far gone you think you are, there are still, I guess, things or rules you should follow. There's redemption, and that's what I got from that. Like the point is, sometimes you have to be called more than once. From what I'm getting from this as well, is you have to be called more than once. So you might not get it the first time, you might not get it the second time, you might not get it the 200th time. Well, that's gonna be a lot of times, but the whole point is that it might happen more than once to gain that redemption. You know what I mean? From like a bad situation. And I could relate with that again with like drinking, like having an alcohol dependency. Like it took a long time to get where I'm at today. It took a lot of trying, a lot of me failing. And even with all those like pushbacks, it's like every day I still go say, I believe in redemption. Or sometimes you have to be called more than once. Sometimes that's how it is. I hope I'm doing a good job explaining some of this stuff, because it's been a busy day. I hope I'm doing a good job. I hope you end up reading this, because it really is a good book. I think everyone should definitely read it. So that was page 35. As I was saying before, Wu-Tang is very influenced by like kung fu flicks, but also just like anime. And what bigger thing could I bring up other than Dragon Ball Z, right? I feel Dragon Ball Z has influenced more than one generation. It's probably one of the most influential shows, and of course it's in this book, and he goes a little bit on the history of like Goku's son or whatever, and how the son of son Goku has superpowers but doesn't realize it. A head injury destroyed his memory, robbed his knowledge of self. And then he one day gets so stressed beyond his limits and hulks out into his alter ego. The reason why I wrote that is, and this will be a deep dive for another day, is when I was in 8th grade or 9th grade, I got jumped and hit my head really bad, and I always felt different after that day. And it's weird because it kind of, again, going off topic, it's like that story, I don't know if it's real, where like Eminem got jumped or something, and that's why he became a rapper. Like, he started thinking different, and it's like, I don't know, I kind of wonder what was robbed, like knowledge of self is robbed. So there's some things that I cannot recall, but I mean, it doesn't just go back to that day. I just think I just think knowledge of self is very important, and I think that self-discovery is something that I still kind of really want to start focusing on moving forward, because there's so much that I don't know about myself. Because like I was saying in my other video, we are constantly being distracted and influenced, and it's hard to figure out what you like as a person, because the sense of self is not very strong these days. Again, these are just like my personal opinions and what I'm just observing. That's page 54. We're almost done. Okay, so there's so much like lore that I just don't feel like explaining. But so when people say the 5% is just a gang, I say they're just seekers and givers of knowledge, which is exactly what we need right now. Our culture is programming its children to join the 85%. To be robots, to have no knowledge of self. Today, being one of the 85% might mean being married in the suburbs with 2.5 kids and 3 cars, spending your days eating prepackaged food and talking about 10-year-old sitcoms. It might mean chasing Escalades, Rolexes, and power in a corporation that will betray you. It might mean simply accepting everything you see without question. Today, we need some form of the 5%. We need people to teach civilization to all the human families. Money gives you economic freedom, but it doesn't free your dome from the lies and ignorance that makes you dumb. And this is still relevant. This is something I believe in heavy right now. Oh no, I only have 4 minutes left. Okay guys, I gotta do this real quick because it's gonna stop recording. Basically, the RZA talks about how he has been zigzagging in life and that he almost died zigzagging, like basically going to good to bad to good to bad, things like that. Back to just focusing on yourself. The first person you have to resurrect is yourself. So basically focus on that, like resurrecting yourself. That's important. There's another one. Fast for a few days. Don't have a lot of people around. Be alone and quiet. You'll start to hear yourself, feel yourself. You'll hear from the you that's not you, your family, society, or history created. You'll hear from the you that's beneath that, the one that's always there with you, the you that contains the God particle. Now, again, I do like how it's like religion, in a sense of like he says that we are a part of God, like the God is within you. But that's kind of like a self-explanatory thing that I'm trying to do. I don't know about fasting for a few days, but I will. Oh God, so everything is happening right now. There's like these kids that like to just like scream for some reason, and then everyone is home yelling. So another thing he talks about is he was small and twisted inside. Even though I had wealth and fame and knowledge of self, I wasn't free from ego. I was secluded, antisocial, aggressive, conceited, and mean. I just feel like I'm going through that right now. And ego, I need the death of the ego this year because it's never getting me anywhere. I'm really hoping you guys aren't getting everything happening everywhere. Also, it's like what Rumi said. In order for you to become the ocean, you have to drown. If you're swimming, you're not truly it. You have to drown yourself. I think that's like an extension of like death of ego in a way. I feel it's just funny because right now in this life, right now, I feel like I'm drowning, but only because I'm trying to swim, and I feel like every time I kind of let go, I'm trying to get back. And I don't know, maybe I have to let myself let it go, stop being afraid of not letting go and just letting things be. I don't know. And again, anyway, anyone can interpret this kind of different. Everyone will interpret what I'm saying different. For ODB, Old Dirty Bastard, to say in his last moments, I don't understand, that makes me say I don't ever want to feel that. I want to always understand. I always want to have faith, but faith can leave you if you don't practice it. Don't exercise it. If you let it die inside you, practice your faith. The second lesson ODB left us with is just as important. It's about freedom and your cipher, your circle, your family, the people that love you. Death has many causes: violence, scheming, abuse, but a major one we overlook is neglect. We say, oh, he's a grown man. He can drink what he wants to drink, smoke what he wants, say what he wants. But Martin Luther King said that freedom has its own laws. It's not without its own principles. Now, that is scary. And just like I did bring up faith and say that we were going to come back to that because faith is extremely important. I think when you do lose like your sense of self, and it does make me like super kind of emotional. Old Dirty Bastard did die. There is a part in this book that he does talk about right before this, how ODB did something in front of the RZA and ODB's son that was just bananas. Basically that he became his environment, you know what I mean? Like he got lost in the sauce, never came back, and you know, he didn't discipline himself. He didn't come back. He wasn't as resilient, I guess. It's very upsetting, but that faith aspect where like I don't understand, like feeling that feeling is something I could really resonate with, and that's scary. You do not want to know what it's like to feel the way ODB felt, because I feel that way a lot of the time, and that is a scary feeling. Moving forward with life, I mean, in a sense of drinking or whatever, I'm happy that I was called out, because I was also surrounded by a lot of people who said this person's their own person, like let them be. But sometimes you need to stick up to your friends sometimes. You need to tell them how it is. And it's not your responsibility, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that goes a long way. So the reason why I stopped drinking as much as I did is because someone did tell me that. Someone was like, yo, you know what I mean? Like, yo, cut it out. What are you doing? And it just took that for me to like really, obviously I had a realization on myself, but that helps. That's like a step. Neglect is important cause of death. I think that's an interesting call out, but also just like the whole faith thing, like the I don't understand, that shook me to my core reading that, because I was just like, there's no way I could relate to this as much as I'm relating to it. It's scary. Overall, this book has sorry, I don't need to like end on this note, because honestly I find this book more uplifting than sad, or I don't know. I just think that it's certainly an easy read. You get a little bit of history on the RZA, but like Wu-Tang, with the focus on, you know, the RZA himself, his lessons, what he learned from them, and what he like, I guess, recommends on a spiritual level, or you know, what he thinks is kind of like right and wrong, but there is no right and wrong. It's very interesting. It's a book that makes me really want to work on myself, and also gives me more strength to work on myself, and gave me that time to just like really reflect and be like, oh wow, like these are things I should be working on. You read this book, let me know what you think in the comments. Should I do more book reviews? Maybe I should work a little harder on book reviews. I don't know. I know I did a book review a while back in regards to like sobriety. But I just figured the Tao of Wu, the RZA, founder of Wu-Tang, man of many talents, definitely want many people to read this book so we could talk about it. But yeah, that's the video for today. If you liked it, subscribe, like, comment. I will be back tomorrow. I'm sorry again for not posting yesterday, but you know, it is what it is. Sometimes you're happy, sometimes you're not. Till then, also, if you have any book recommendations, write it down in the comments, because I definitely want to read more books. Simple ones are cool, but I like a lot of like memoirs, history. I don't know, but I guess I'm open to like other things now. I should be reading more things. But yeah, till then, thank you.